Assalamu alaikum, frères et sœurs. Today's message is not light. It's not ordinary. It is a sacred whisper meant for the few, the chosen ones. If you're listening to this, it means your heart is still open, and that alone is a sign that you haven't been left behind. The world around you may feel like it's on the verge of collapse. Things are shifting and everything stable seems to tremble. But this isn't chaos. It's not confusion. It's divine order being rearranged for your protection. What appears to be shattering is actually being dismantled to hide you from what's coming. There are moments when silence becomes your strongest shield, when disappearing from the noise becomes your divine assignment. If you feel the urge to isolate, withdraw, or remain hidden, listen. That nudge is not weakness. It is wisdom. Some people are being pushed into visibility, but you are being called into a sacred hiding place. And this hiding isn't punishment. It's a preservation strategy, a season of covering, a shelter before the storm passes. There are battles you were never meant to fight in public. There are moments of glory that begin in darkness. The kind of darkness that feels lonely, misunderstood, and even painful. But even then, you are not alone. You are being wrapped in layers of unseen grace, protected from what you can't even perceive yet. Your name is being whispered in realms where your feet haven't walked yet. But until then, silence is your protection. Obscurity is your promotion. Hiding is your elevation. You may be wondering why doors are suddenly closing, why people are walking away, or why your voice is not being heard like it used to. Let me tell you, these are signs that your path is being redirected, not denied. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being shielded. Sometimes, the silence from heaven isn't rejection. It's redirection. And when you feel invisible, it's because you're being made untouchable. The shattering around you is allowed because it's revealing what can no longer go with you. Structures are falling because they were never meant to sustain what you're about to carry. People are exiting because they cannot handle what's being placed inside of you. And even your thoughts, your desires, your passions, they are being refined. Something sacred is forming, but it must be hidden until the appointed time. Don't rush this. Don't expose what heaven is still cultivating. What's happening right now is not delay. It's incubation. And when the moment comes, you won't need to announce yourself. Your presence will speak for itself. For now, let the hiding happen. Let the silence teach you. Let the broken pieces fall where they must. You're not falling apart. You're falling into alignment. Hidden, yes, but held, and being prepared for something that will shake the very foundation of those who thought you were done. When Allah intends to elevate someone, He does not always begin with exposure. He begins with concealment. And this concealment may look like rejection, abandonment, or even punishment to those around you. But to the spiritually awakened, it's a hidden door into sacred transformation. You might feel like your prayers echo in silence, like your efforts are being buried. But I want you to understand something profound. The seed that is hidden in darkness is not dead. It is being rooted. And you, O chosen one, are in the process of being deeply rooted. If Allah allowed everything around you to remain the same, you would have stayed comfortable in a chapter that was too small for your spirit. So He shattered it. Not to destroy you, but to disturb you enough to move. That pain you're feeling is a divine invitation, a holy push. The loneliness, the betrayal, the sudden changes, none of it is random. Every loss has been permitted to strip away what was contaminating your soul. Because where you're going, there is no room for ego, no space for distraction, no tolerance for spiritual noise. The path forward requires clarity, and clarity often comes after everything has been quieted or shattered. Don't confuse this hiding season with failure. Don't assume that your silence is a sign of spiritual distance. On the contrary, Allah hides those He loves. He protects them from premature exposure. Because when something sacred is exposed too early, it becomes vulnerable to harm, criticism, and corruption. That is why the believer must be patient in the dark. Your current invisibility is not a punishment. It is a divine veil, drawn by the most merciful. Many are tempted to prove themselves during this season, to be seen, to be acknowledged, to show the world that they're still standing. But hear this, you don't need to prove what Allah is preparing. Let Him do the unveiling. Let Him be your voice, your defender, your guide. When the moment is right, your light will pierce through every layer of darkness. Perhaps you've asked, why now, Ya Allah? Why is everything collapsing just when I thought things were finally aligning? The answer is hidden in wisdom. Sometimes, Allah will allow something good to fall apart, so something greater can be born from the rubble. This isn't just a collapse, it's a rebirth. And before any birth, there is a hidden gestation, a quiet formation in the womb of divine timing. Even if the people closest to you don't understand what you're going through, even if they label your silence as weakness or laziness, remain firm. You were not created for their understanding. You were chosen for His purpose. And that purpose is being refined in this furnace of silence. Those who mock you now will one day see the fruits of what Allah was planting in private. Your only responsibility right now is to remain sincere. Protect your heart. Guard your intentions. Purify your thoughts. And hide. Not in fear, but in submission. Because Allah is moving in your life in ways that your mind cannot yet comprehend. Do not fear the shattering. It is heaven's signal that something new, something sacred, is beginning. Even if it hurts, even if it breaks you open, let it. You are not being buried. You are being planted by the hand of the Most Wise. Have you ever felt like the silence around you was no longer just silence, but a warning? Like the world around you was dimming, not by nightfall, but by something far deeper and heavier. An invisible tremor that starts in the unseen world and echoes in the small, fragile corners of your life. The chosen ones of Allah are often called into hiding before a divine shaking begins. And when this happens, it's not always a punishment. It's a preservation. There's a divine strategy at play. When Allah prepares to unravel what is false, when He is about to tear down systems built on pride, deception, and oppression, He does something subtle. He removes His people from the room. He shields them. He hides them. Not because they're weak, but because He's about to do something mighty. And He will not let His beloved ones be collateral in a storm meant to purify. Sometimes, people think hiding is a weakness. They believe that if you're not out there, shouting your purpose from the rooftops or performing miracles for the crowd, then you're not relevant. But let's be clear. Some of Allah's greatest works began in solitude. Think about it. The most powerful revelations didn't come in palaces. They came in caves, in deserts, in the shadows. Solitude isn't isolation, it's consecration. It's when Allah speaks directly to you. No filters, no distractions. And here's what's even more fascinating. The shaking doesn't begin outside. It starts in you. The discomfort, the restlessness, the unease, the lack of appetite for things you used to enjoy. All of it is the soft tremble before the quake. Allah disturbs your inner peace before He disturbs your environment. He makes your spirit too large for the place you're in. He makes your heart grieve over things that others celebrate. You don't belong to what they belong to anymore, and that's the point. But why now? Why this intensity? Because the time of unveiling is near. Because Allah is moving pieces in your life that must collapse before something new can rise. And just like a building about to be demolished, the safest place for the workers is away from the structure. That's you. He's pulling you back before things fall. Not to forget you, not to ignore you, but to preserve the purity you carry for a time when it will be most needed. This is the season where he doesn't need your voice in the crowd. He needs your ear in the quiet. He's not asking you to perform. He's asking you to perceive, to recognize the signs of spiritual turbulence before they manifest physically. You see, being chosen doesn't just mean you're loved. It means you're prepared. It means he teaches you the weather of heaven so you can discern the storms of earth. And that requires stillness. You've probably already started noticing the pattern. People dropping out of your life for no reason. Doors closing you didn't even knock on. Opportunities vanishing that once chased you. You may think you're losing, but in truth, you're being hidden. Hidden from the destruction that's coming. Hidden from the noise that would distract your soul. Hidden from the false honors that would inflate your ego. You're being wrapped in silence for a reason. Because when the world starts breaking, you'll be among the few who remain whole. You'll be among those whose light wasn't corrupted, whose soul wasn't sold, whose destiny wasn't compromised for short applause. And when the shaking stops and the dust clears, it will be your voice that rises, not in chaos, but in clarity. So don't rush to be seen. Don't crave to be loud. This is the time to hide yourself, not in fear, but in focus. The shattering is near, and the safest place to be is in the quiet hand of Allah's preparation. There's a heaviness in the air right now, a divine silence before a spiritual storm. Everything around you might still look normal. Your friends laugh, your family chats, your environment seems unchanged. But something deep within you is trembling. You don't even know why exactly, but you can feel it in your soul. Something is about to break, not a small crack, a shattering. And you, the chosen one, are not supposed to panic. You're supposed to prepare in stillness. This moment isn't about screaming or asking, why me? This is about hiding yourself in the safest place there is, within the protection and will of the one who chose you. When we say hide, it doesn't mean to run away. It means retreating into the fortress of obedience, into the divine shelter of patience, prayer, silence, and submission. Chosen one, when destruction comes to a world that has ignored countless warnings, the believer is never destroyed with it. Why? Because their isolation was never weakness. It was preparation. While the world called you antisocial, God was calling you apart. While others mocked your retreat, heaven was fortifying you with clarity. There are some storms you don't fight. You outlast them by not being exposed to their winds. There are some moments where talking won't help. Posting won't help. Arguing won't help. And in those times, those who speak less but pray more are the ones who survive what others collapse under. There's something sacred about a hidden believer. Not flashy, not loud, not always seen. But when the thunder starts roaring and the structures of this world begin to collapse, that hidden believer walks through the dust untouched, because he was never built into the things that fell. The shattering is not a punishment. It's a separation, a divine disconnection between those who anchored themselves in illusion and those who were quietly digging their roots into truth. And when that great unraveling begins, chosen ones are not caught off guard. Their spirit has already been whispering. It's time. It's time to walk away from certain distractions. Time to stop explaining your purpose to those who were never meant to understand it. Time to tighten your connection with the unseen rather than the seen. Because what's coming will not be explainable. It will be undeniable. And here's a truth few can handle. Sometimes, God hides His chosen not to protect them from destruction, but to preserve them for leadership after it. You are not being excluded. You are being preserved. This moment of hiding is your consecration season. While others chase chaos, you are told to stay quiet. While others expose themselves to judgment, you are called to close your spiritual windows. Stay covered. Stay away from environments that drain your light. Not because you're better, but because your assignment is heavier. Some of the deepest growth happens in hiding, not in public applause, not in digital attention, but in lonely silence. And right now, heaven is giving you a choice. Stay exposed to the noise and risk being shattered with it, or walk into the sacred shelter of spiritual preparation. This is not a metaphor. It's real. You're feeling things you can't explain. You're being drawn to moments of stillness without understanding why. That's not coincidence. It's strategy. You're being hidden because something massive is shifting. So stop forcing yourself to be seen. Stop feeling guilty for disappearing from crowds. Stop explaining your silence to everyone. Just like a seed is hidden before it grows, you too must embrace the darkness of your isolation before the light of your purpose is revealed. It will be uncomfortable. It will be misunderstood. But it will be safe. And when the world breaks, and the noise becomes unbearable, and those who laughed at your stillness run in panic, you'll stand. You'll shine. You'll be ready. Because the storm never destroys what was planted by the hands of God and covered in obedience. Sometimes, the greatest protection is not in fighting harder, but in stepping back and watching what unfolds without you. There's a point in the journey of every chosen one when the atmosphere becomes too heavy to breathe in. Not because you are weak, but because what is coming requires your complete spiritual preservation. Everything around you starts to crack, not to scare you, but to remove every place where you've been tempted to hide before. You used to find peace in people, comfort in distractions, validation in praise, but now it all feels empty. That's not confusion, it's purification. The signs are speaking louder than ever, and only the quiet ones can hear them now. There are moments when Allah strips you of every noise so that even the faintest spiritual signal from above becomes unmistakable. You begin to feel like the wind is changing directions. What used to be familiar now feels foreign. Even your routine feels unstable. That's because the alignment of what's inside of you and what Allah has planned for you is about to collide. It's like something within is pulling you to withdraw, to hide, to separate, to go quiet. Not as an act of weakness, but of divine preparation. Your soul knows something is coming before your eyes ever do. And when the soul feels that deep warning, it whispers to your heart, "Get low. Something is about to shake." This is not the time to expose everything. When Allah is preparing something sacred inside of you, He covers you. You are not being left out. You are being hidden for preservation. There are some blessings that lose their power when announced too soon. There are some transformations that require darkness before they blossom in the light. You are being asked to move in silence, to walk in shadows for a moment, not out of shame, but to protect what is still forming. Even butterflies hide before they fly. You are no different. And you've noticed, haven't you? The people who used to be curious about you are suddenly silent. The opportunities that once chased you are strangely delayed. The spaces where you were once seen now look away. That is not rejection. That's redirection. Allah is pulling you away from every spotlight that was never meant to reflect your purpose. You're not being hidden for punishment. You're being tucked away so your spirit is not bruised by noise, nor your soul tainted by the premature applause of the wrong audience. Sometimes, the most powerful act of protection is being invisible. Not because you are insignificant, but because your next chapter is too significant to be left exposed. You are a seed. And seeds don't scream when they grow. They just break quietly underground, away from the world's eyes, until one day they rise through the soil. And no one can deny what Allah had been doing all along. There's a reason the Prophet would withdraw into the cave before the Quran was revealed. A reason Musa, peace be upon him, was summoned to Mount Sinai in isolation before receiving the tablets. A reason Maryam, peace be upon her, withdrew to a remote place before giving birth. It's because divine instruction does not come in the crowd. It descends in silence, in obscurity, in sacred aloneness. So don't think for one moment that your season of hiddenness is a punishment. It's a divine preparation. You are not where you are by mistake. You are being summoned to your own mountain, to receive what others cannot carry. Allah is preparing a weighty word in your spirit, a word that will change lives, a word that will destroy illusions, a word that will awaken hearts. But for you to speak that word, you must first be crushed, not destroyed, just humbled. You must taste emptiness, so that when the light comes, you will not use it to glorify yourself. You must experience powerlessness, so that when strength comes, you remember the source. This is why everything around you feels fragile, why relationships are shattering, why familiar places no longer feel like home. Allah is stripping away what's false to prepare you for what's true. And that truth is heavy. It must rest on a purified soul. You may wonder, why now? Why does everything feel like it's breaking apart when I've already been through so much? It's because this is the final shattering before the shift. Allah breaks things right before He rebuilds them stronger. This is your moment of spiritual earthquake, not to destroy you, but to rearrange everything you thought you needed. He's clearing the ground for something permanent, something divine, something no human can touch, steal, or stain. He's not just changing your life, He's rebuilding your foundation. But here's the part that most don't understand. You must hide yourself while this is happening. You must not reveal what you're carrying to people who can't comprehend it. Don't announce what's still growing in the dark. Don't expose your transformation to eyes that only see the surface. There is a beauty in being misunderstood right now. Because the more you are misunderstood, the more Allah guards you. There are people who left your life because they weren't qualified to witness what's next. Allah removed them with mercy. Let them go. You are stepping into something so sacred that it requires divine silence. Not just from others, but from you too. Stop explaining. Stop proving. Stop trying to make others see what Allah is only revealing to you. The chosen ones are not loud. They are hidden weapons, silent lights, unseen storms. And when the time comes, they emerge, not to make noise, but to make impact. And the world will not be ready for what comes through you. So stay hidden a little longer. Stay unknown a little deeper. Because when the veil lifts, your light will not just illuminate rooms, it will split darkness like lightning.